What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. All right, guys, so we are going to continue our coverage over the Trial of X era of X-Men comics, where we actually pick up with X-Force number 23 and X-Force number 24. Now, this is one heck of a two-part story, guys, because it really changes a lot of different things that we have been seeing throughout this entire series for one particular character. Now, with that being said, because we covered a lot of different things happening throughout this entire series, as we go through this video, I am going to bring up a lot of different things that we have seen earlier in earlier books to kind of help you guys get a full understanding of what's happening in this storyline right here. But this is the story that basically changes Colossus, and you see what I mean as we go throughout this entire story. But getting into today's storyline, we actually do pick up in Russia. Now, when we do, we actually pick up with Mikhail Rasputin. Now, this is the evil brother of Colossus, and I want you guys to hold on to that right there because it is going to be actually very important later on. Now, when it comes to Mikhail Rasputin, he's actually meeting up with the man with the peacock tattoo. Now, we have no idea who this guy actually is just yet, but we do know that he is the leader of the organization known as Xeno. Now, we met Xeno, the evil group, at the very beginning of this series, and we actually thought that they were just out there trying to kill off the mutant race because the mutant race have formed their own nation, COPPA. But we kind of find out later on that Mikhail was one of the investors or one of the higher ups in the Xeno organization. And that right there threw everything out the window. And the reason why, because the question is now, why would Mikhail help out an evil group that's attacking mutants to possibly get rid of mutants? And here's the thing. He does not want to use Xeno to get rid of mutants because he is a mutant. He has a completely different reason that we are going to learn about in this storyline. Now, the two guys are actually meeting up because the man with the peacock tattoo is supposed to hand over some product, some new weapons to basically use against the mutant nation COPPA. Now, this product is just some nest dolls. Now, they call them nest dolls, but these actual product or these actual creatures are made out of the idea of Russian dolls. Now, Russian dolls were a very cool kind of thing where basically you have a doll, but inside that doll is another doll, and it just keeps going and going and going until you have a very, very, very small doll. And so nest dolls are basically just Russian dolls, because when you kill off a nest doll, inside of them is another creature to basically attack you. And it just keeps happening over and over and over again, like a Russian doll does. Now, with that being said, of course, Mikhail is not happy. And the reason why, because when it came to the man with the peacock tattoo, he was supposed to give Mikhail a huge order. Instead, he has like half the order. Now, the man with the peacock tattoo does tell Mikhail, listen, even though I gave you half of what you wanted, these guys right here makes up for the other half. Now, you didn't have the peacock man with the tattoo actually ask Mikhail a very important question. Why are you trying to attack your own people, the mutants? But before we are actually able to get that answer, we have to jump over to Beast. Now, when we actually jump over to Beast, you have to remember that Beast is actually the leader of the X-Force team. But also, Beast is that character right now where a lot of people kind of hate, because Beast has changed a lot over the years in Marvel Comics, especially in this series right here, where he's really more of a-hole. Either way, though, you do have Beast right now examining a nest doll. Now, like I said earlier, nest dolls are basically just Russian dolls for this evil organization. As soon as you kill off one creature, there is another one inside of it. And so when it comes to these nest dolls, when Beast actually cuts open this one doll, of course, another one pops out. And it's so small, it's able to actually get inside his ear, which of course means it's going to try to kill Beast from the inside out. But getting back over to Mikhail, but also the man with the peacock tattoo, we actually pick up on the reasoning why Mikhail is trying to get rid of COPPA and why he's going against his own race. And the reason why? Because he feels like mutants and humans should be able to work together as one. But it also comes out of his love for Russia. And what I mean is that because he is from Russia, he believes that he should serve Russia and only Russia, and that is it. And so other mutants must do the same thing if they also come from Russia. But with COPPA being around, it gives those mutants an option to basically leave Russia hot and dry and then jump over to COPPA, where of course everything is almost perfect. And for Mikhail, that's a problem, because if you're born in Russia, you need to stay in Russia and serve your country. That's really his whole base on why he's helping Zeno out to take out COPPA, because COPPA gives mutants the option to not serve their country, which he actually hates. And so he's kind of like, yeah, my goal is to get rid of them because they deserve to stay here. And we have to remember, Russia was one of the countries that told COPPA that mutants are not allowed to leave Russia to go to COPPA. And so the Marauders and other teams had to go to Russia to basically help the mutants who wanted to leave Russia actually escape from Russia. And so this is Mikhail's reasoning on why he wants to get rid of COPPA. But you didn't have Mikhail actually put the man with the peacock tattoo in a pocket dimension. And the reason why, because the guy did not actually complete his goal, which was giving him a complete supply of weapons to actually use. Because we saw earlier, the guy with the tattoo only brought half of what Mikhail actually ordered. And so because of that mistake, he's locked away right now in a pocket dimension. But then we jump over to Beast. Now, with Beast right now, he's kind of worried about the idea of the nest doll being inside his body right now, and of course just ripping out different things inside Beast's body to hopefully kill off Beast. Now, at first, you have Beast kind of down with the idea of actually dying. And the reason why, because on COPPA, they found a way to bring people back to life. We saw that. They have the resurrection process to bring someone back to life. Now, when I say that, it's not actually bringing someone back to life. Again, it's really them making you a clone body and then download your memories into that new clone body. Now, with that being said though, Beast actually does bring up a good point on why he does not want to actually go through that. Because at first he was down, but then he actually hates the idea of going through that process. And the reason why, because every time someone actually goes through that process, a piece of them is lost, like some kind of memory or some kind of part of them is just lost. And for Beast, he hates the idea of going through that process because he feels like if he comes back through that process, a part of him will be lost. And that right there is a huge problem. And the reason why, because he feels like without him, COPPA is going to fall apart. COPPA needs someone like him in charge to make sure it does not fall apart. Now, right now, he's not in charge. Charles Xavier is, but it's him saying just in case Charles does die, he should be the next option to take charge. And so this is him saying, I'm going to kill off this nest doll inside of me before it has the chance to actually kill me. And so you do have Beast tell Sage, hey, I need Black Tom here right now, pronto. But then we jump back over to Mikhail and also the Pale Girl. Now, the Pale Girl was a character we actually saw back in the Wolverine series, where basically she has the ability to go inside your body and control you. Now, with that being said, it is confirmed that right now she's working with Mikhail, but also trying to help Mikhail get rid of COPPA. Now, with all that being said, right now you have Mikhail kind of having some doubts. Now, these doubts are really not really doubts, it's really more of him being impatient. And what I mean by that is he's saying like he knows their goal is in reach, it's just that it's taking so long. And with it taking so long, he's getting very impatient about it. But on top of that is also Mikhail saying he does have some doubts about different things that could possibly happen down the road. Now, you do have the Pale Girl be like the person to once again motivate him like, hey, listen, man, what we've done so far is great. We are so close to our goal. Yes, it's going to take time, but look at Russia and look at what Russia was able to offer in different aspects of life. Great writers, great scientists, but you and me, we are doing something different that's still going to be great as them as well. And once our goal is actually reached, our names will be mentioned forever. Like, look, we had great scientists. We had great writers. We also had great painters as well. Now, that part right there is actually very important when she says painters, because for Mikhail, he knows, okay, I have to get our painter, the one we need right now to actually reach our goal, because he is actually very important, and that he is a painter, and you should know who that painter is. It's Colossus, because for years and years and years and years, we were told that Colossus loves to paint. And so it's Mikhail saying, I have to get my brother. But then we jump over to Beast. Now, when we do, we actually do pick up with Beast right now having a meeting with Black Tom. Really, he's asking for help from Black Tom. But Black Tom is a character who has the ability to control landmass. Now, that right there is actually very important for this section right here, because what Black Tom is going to do is basically use the wood dust that's around in the area of Krakoa to make a smaller version of himself, control that smaller version of himself, and go inside the body of Beast. Because right now, with that nest doll being inside Beast, it's really more of Black Tom using a smaller version of himself that was made out of wood dust to go inside there and fight against that nest doll to basically kill it off before the nest doll is able to kill off Beast. But then we jump over to Mikhail. Now, when we do, we actually pick up with Mikhail right now, meeting up with a new character. Now, this new character is known as the Chronicler, and I really hope I pronounced that word correctly. But when it comes to the Chronicler, he basically has the ability to actually control you by writing a story about you. Yeah, you heard that right. Which honestly, I kind of find that a tad bit interesting. But meaning that he's able to actually say in chapter 1, you are going to go to the mall. But in chapter 2, you're going to buy a bunch of clothes. But then in chapter 3, he could say, and then you basically jump off the building. Like, as long as he writes a story about you, he's able to control you. Now, when it comes to his powers, there are some things he has to do to make sure he actually can control you. Meaning that if he's writing a story about you in a certain kind of way, then he has to continue to write about you in that kind of way to basically control you. Meaning that he just can't do a huge shift in your emotions or whatever in his story, because if he does, then he's not actually able to control you. So again, let's say in chapter 1, you're very happy and you're all like, my gosh, I want to buy a bunch of new clothes. But in chapter 2, you're angry and you want to fight against people and everything. He cannot do that. There has to be some kind of progress that actually leads into that actual moment, which means a bunch of chapters has to take place between you being happy and going to be sad at the end. And so that is his powers right there. And Mikhail is using him actually as a way to control Colossus. But getting back over to Beast and Black Tom, we do continue the idea of Black Tom trying to save Beast's life. And so right now you do have Black Tom's smaller version of himself inside the body of Beast trying to chase down the nest doll, which honestly, it does make for a very interesting kind of storyline for Beast, because he's just on the ground like, Black Tom, can you please and hurry up and find that little thing and basically kill it before I actually die here. And so you have Black Tom's smaller self just chasing down his nest doll all over the place. But then we actually jump over to Colossus and his girlfriend Kayla. Now, we don't know much about Kayla except her powers and that she is the girlfriend of Colossus. But either way though, this shows Colossus finally getting what he wanted, which was to be a peaceful farmer. That's all he wanted to do. That's all he wanted to be. And so he finally reached that goal. But earlier we saw Mikhail basically referencing that he was going after Colossus for some unknown reason. And so with that, you have Colossus right now not really knowing that he's being controlled by some random writer back in Russia by his brother. And so it's Colossus right now living a good life. But we know this good life is about to be taken away from Colossus. Now, you do have the story kind of wrapped up for Beast and Black Tom, where you do have Black Tom's smaller self just running around trying to chase off these smaller creatures that are inside Beast's body. And Black Tom is able to actually stop most of them. And when I say most of them, because Black Tom did cut the one he was chasing down. And of course, when you do that, more of them just pop out of the first body. And so you had multiple small nest dolls just running around Beast's body. Now, Beast does throw up, which of course does get rid of most of them, but one of them actually got inside the eyeball of Beast, which means that Beast had to cut out his own eyeball as a way to kill off these nest dolls, which honestly is very brutal. But this shows that Beast is not down to die and be brought back to life. He wants to make sure that not another part of him is basically lost in Cerebro. But then we jump over to Colossus. Now, when we do, my gosh, guys, this is so sad. When we actually jump over to Colossus, we actually see him coming home to his girlfriend. Now, when he does, of course, he's kind of like, hey, babe, I'm home. But the problem is, though, she's angry. Now, the reason why she is upset with him is because of his paintings. Now, it's not like, oh my God, you're painting again. This is horrible. I hate you. No, it's what he painted, which is that he painted his old life. Things about the X-Men, things about X-Force, the life he left behind to be a farmer. Now, he is a farmer that does help out for Krakoa, but he doesn't live on Krakoa. He lives in the Savage Land being a farmer that helps out Krakoa. But the problem is, though, all of his paintings are about his old life, being a fighter, being a destroyer for the X-Men. The life he left behind, because to him, as he told her, it wasn't him. He felt lost there. And so she is concerned that he might go back to that life. Now, here's the thing though. This setting right here that's happening right now is being controlled, again, by the Chronicler. And the reason why, because remember, when it comes to his mutant ability, when he's writing a story about you as a way to control you, he has to make sure there's a good process in the story, because if he doesn't do it, then his powers don't actually work. Meaning that right now, this fight is being controlled, but it has to go in a certain kind of way, because again, if he tries to do something so instant and quick, his powers are not going to work correctly. And so you have Mikhail say, I need you to kill off Kayla. And the reason why, because if Colossus still has Kayla around, Colossus is never going to join Mikhail's side. But if Colossus does lose Kayla, then there's a chance he might join Michaela's side. And so you have Mikhail tell the Chronicler, you have to kill off Kayla. Make Colossus kill her. Have him break her body to kill her. And that is why it's so messed up. Now, the Chronicler, he does it. He writes in the story saying Colossus kills off Kayla, and bam, she dies just like that, which honestly is really messed up. But again, the way Colossus is acting, what he just did, he's not in control of himself, which means that right now, when he killed off Kayla, he didn't feel sad one bit about it, which honestly, that's not Colossus, because if he just lost a loved one, that man would be broken. And we've seen that before when his sister had died a while back. A lot of deaths happen in the X-Men, and he was one of those characters who would just cry because someone close to him died. And right now, here he is killing off his girlfriend like, whoa, oh, she's dead, moving on. No, that's not Colossus. He's being controlled. But to end this story, while you have Colossus kind of like in home, just chilling right now, after he just killed his girlfriend, he is confronted by Charles Xavier. And you have Charles say, hey, we got to talk. And this is where the story actually ends. So with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed today's comic book video. And if you did, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.